Welcome to Wrestling with Success, the best and only podcast for the wrestlers of tomorrow. Please welcome your host, Nigel? Oh, right. Your host and future champion, Neil McMillan.
Yeah.
So guys and girls and wrestling fans worldwide, welcome to episode 31 of the Wrestling with Success podcast. This week I'm sitting down with a guy that I previously described as a Conor McGregor looking motherfucker. He is another hot talent from the SOS locker room. He is a trained MMA fighter turned wrestler, and the guy is ripped to shit. I'm talking a real warrior. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Colin McRae. Corey, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well. I'm still recovering. My shin is still recovering from the training session yesterday of banging on the edge of the ring.
Yeah.
But I'm okay.
Looked like you took a bit of a knock.
Yeah. I had a little bit, a few scrapes, but no, I'll get through it.
Good
so,
man.
Corey, where do we start with you? Because as the wrestling world is quite a new one for you, really, isn't it? You're an MMA fighter, first off.
Yeah. Started off with the MMA and now recently turned to wrestling. I've been training for about coming on 9 months now.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
so you progressed quite quickly then, really, haven't you?
Yeah, I like to think so. I've been trained by a great coach, Paul Tyrrell, and like as you say, we're surrounded by great talent at SOS. So we thrive off each other and progress every single session. Yeah.
So when did you start the MMA?
MMA was 2015. Yeah, 2015 I started, and then done it for about 1.5, 2 years, just under 2 years, and then stopped and jumped onto wrestling straight away.
Oh wow! So did you have actual fights with MMA, or was it just the training itself, or?
Yeah, I trained for a year, and then I've had me few fights here and there, which were strangely enough not as nerve-wracking as going out performing wrestling, which was one of the big shocks to me when I started wrestling.
Well, I suppose, yeah, because you think of wrestling's more of a performance, whereas at least MMA, you're just going out to just hold your own. So yeah, I can imagine. So I mean, what introduced you into wrestling then? When did the switch come about?
The switch come about when my good friend, someone you also know, Mr. Harry Mant, he started. He's been at SOS since day one, and I'd seen that he's been sharing the main event guy, the main dude. Yeah, he was sharing about what he was performing in Harwich and working with this SOS, and as a good friend, I thought I'd go and see what it's about and share, help him out and cheer him on, give him some support. So I watched him a few shows, and I just loved how into it the crowd got, how much emotion the show with his matches and everyone else's, how involved everyone was, and for that hour or two of the show, how everyone has combined, or you split the room where people love it and people hate you, or everyone's cheering for you, everyone's booing for you. That emotion was something that drew me into it. That was one of the main things of why I wanted to start wrestling, just to experience that emotion in the room, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, get the atmosphere. No, I get you.
Yeah.
I mean, what were the main struggles then when you transitioned? Did you kind of have a kind of period where you're trying to not be MMA and be safe and everything? And what were you struggling with in training?
The biggest struggle I had was the transition from trying to hit the person nearly as hard as you can while trying to save stamina to pulling shots and not actually connecting to the same level. Obviously, you still hit each other on wrestling, but it's not full contact, if you know, if that makes sense. Yeah, that was the biggest issue I had. Only really now just sort of to start to come out of it, really, if I'm being truthfully honest. Of unfortunately injured a few top names, but apologise for it, and that's all been passed now. But yeah, that was that was the biggest one, was the trying not to actually hurt someone.
Yeah, but what about stepping into a ring as well? Because that's got, you don't have rings in MMA, do you? It's all kind of mat based.
Yes, mat. Most of it, it's normally just a mat. So getting in the ring, in the training camp for the MMA, there was a boxing ring. So it wasn't like the first time I'd stepped between ropes.
Yeah.
Because I'd done it at training, but to actually perform in a ring and use the ropes was a bit of a shock. It was different, to say the least, but it wasn't something I'd say I struggled on or took me a while to work with. What I didn't realise was, when running the ropes, is how you take a certain amount of steps and turn at a certain time. That was a shock, but yeah, that went pretty smoothly, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, the ropes, I'm still struggling now. I mean, I've got to the point now where I've done so much training outside the ring that I've developed so much bad habits. So when I'm in a ring, everything that I've learned, I'm like a deer in the headlights, thinking shit balls. So so I definitely need to step up in the ring training. It's definitely a whole new world. But
you should come to SOS more. Get to see your face again.
You know I love that place. You know that I love that place. I'll be there as much as I can. But I mean, what are the differences in training? Because I mean, obviously, fitness-wise, it's going to be quite similar, isn't it? It's all about stamina. But are there any other differences between the two?
No, like wrestling is definitely, you need to be at a certain level of fitness at a minimum to be able to go and do it, especially at a high level. Like, it's alright if you're doing a little spot or you've got a 4-minute match, but when you're on main event and doing bigger matches and you have to go on for a longer amount of time, you have to know that you could keep up with that pace. If you set a pace, or if you're going on for so long, you need to know that you can perform for that amount of time. Because if you get halfway through your match and you start blowing, you're screwed. Because I've had it, like one of my first matches, wasn't even a long amount of time, but because of the nerves, I was halfway through a match and I believe it was a double down, or I was down, and I had that split second to realise and just let everything sink in, and I was like, I am so out of breath and my mouth is dry.
Yeah.
So that was because with the MMA, it's obviously always circuit training, and fitness is one of the main things with it. Whereas wrestling, you do your warm ups, you have a jog around the ring, you do a few push ups and stretching off and that. So, but you definitely have to have some level of fitness for wrestling. That's why we always try and get our guys down at SOS to join a gym, or even just go out for a jog or buy a little skipping rope or something cheap on Amazon, just to do some form of fitness.
Yeah. And I can tell you kind of had a fighter's training, because yesterday I could tell you. I mean, you were shadow boxing, you were doing burpees when there was no need for it. You were you were this aggressive kind of warrior little workout. But I mean, it works for you, because you can tell, because you've got a great athletic physique and everything. And no, it's a tip of the cap to you for that. So fair play. So tell us about your first match then. What was that like? Changing from being a fighter to now actually being coming out and being a performer,
doing the wrestling. Like I said earlier on, the nerves when I was in Gorilla backstage waiting for my music to drop, like for the first 2 or 3 matches, when I was standing there ready to walk out, I wanted to quit. All these thoughts were going through my head of just all the nerves were building up, and I was like, I don't want to do it. But then once the music drops and you go out and that adrenaline hits you, you're all good. But yeah, the first match, who was it? So I remember my first in-ring performance was in a Rumble, and I got to do a little spot where I was a member of the crowd, and I was sitting with a couple of my friends, and one of the wrestlers, Rage, who's a bit of a mouthpiece, came out and was talking some shit about how he's better than everyone and isn't going to perform. And then he come over to this one individual in the crowd that just so happened to be me, pointed me out, slapped me, and then obviously got heat for that from the crowd, and then done his bit, got in the ring, and then I storm out, and then just so happens a few numbers later in the entry of the Rumble, I come out in the clothes I was wearing when I was watching it. Obviously it looked weird if I suddenly come out in gear. In my street clothes, come out, got in the Rumble, we had our little spot. And yeah, done that. That was my first in-ring performance.
That's a quality spot. Oh, I like that. That's a decent spot. I like that. Oh, that's a good introduction there, really, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of an introduction with it as well was, I guess, at the time I was like, shit, but now looking back at it, it's quite good. With the spot we had planned, it was he got on the ropes, I hit him, he hits me, I block it, hit him with my kick, the finisher where I spin around and kick him. Like Kofi Kingston's finisher, Trouble in Paradise, that sort of. But he forgot to hit me, he just sold it, and the whole point was I block it and hit him. So, like, obviously that's my first time ever being in a ring, and all of a sudden there's been a botch already.
Yeah.
And I had to just adapt, and I just pushed him or told him to hit me, like screamed, hit me, just to make him hit me, so then we could carry on. Because it just, so that, like, at the time I was like, we fucked up already. But now looking back, it was good to have it then and get an idea of what it is like to have that botch and that moment of freezing and coming out of it to then carrying on with your sequence.
Yeah, so it sounds like nobody would have noticed it as well if you kind of done that. Kind of adds to your character a little bit more. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so that was a good thing about me. Was my character is a bit of a, like, obviously a fighter with the MMA. So when you scream "hit me," when you're actually telling him to do what he was supposed to do and hit you, went all right.
So, what advice would you give to kind of people? They've got their first match coming up. They're in guerrilla. What would you tell yourself back then? Now you've been in a ring a fair few times.
Biggest thing is don't drink anything within 30 minutes of going out to perform, because you will feel like you've never needed a wee more in your life when you don't. Which then, well, for me personally, that played on my mind, and then I started thinking, what if I wet myself out in the ring and all that? So that's more trouble going through your head. But the main thing would be just breathe, just calm down. Like, as nutty as it sounds, I just stared at a blank wall and just zoned out and just controlled me breathing, worked on me breathing. And then once that had settled down, half of the nerves started to fade, and then just quickly go over your match one more time, just so you make sure you have a rough idea of what's hopefully going to happen, and just enjoy it. As cliche as it sounds, just enjoy it, even if it goes wrong. As long as you have fun and it doesn't look too bad, you'll be alright. But yeah, just control your breathing would be the main thing.
Yeah, and what were the other things you kind of struggled with in training? I mean, obviously fitness wasn't going to be a main one. You talked about the not actually hitting someone, but is there anything else you kind of struggled with in training?
One of the big things was not in the more physical side, but because I wasn't one of these people that have always grown up watching wrestling or been in the scenes of wrestling. Like, I used to watch WWE and TNA and that as a kid, like everyone, but until I started SOS, I had no idea that there was Mexican wrestling and there was New Japan or even British Strong Style, anything like that. I generally thought it was WWE and TNA, and that was it. No idea. So it was the fact of learning all these, almost like a new language with wrestling, like if you're green, so you're brand new, and the chaining and all these new languages and words that you have to learn. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, terminology, and learning who these other wrestlers were, like the Pete Dunnes, the Tyler Bates, and Will Ospreays. No idea who they were, and so I probably put just as much work outside of the ring than in the ring, trying to research everything and trying to catch myself up to date, so I had a rough idea of what everyone was actually talking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'd say the having, what would be the word, uneducated in the unphysical parts of wrestling was one of my weaker points as well, which took me a bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, so you mentioned I mentioned on previous episodes that when we first, I met you at SOS and we were going to do a little spot at the Rumble, and I mentioned you and I described you as, and in this introduction, as a Conor McGregor looking motherfucker. And I mean, you had the tattoos, the haircut, the look. I mean, that can't be an accident. He's got to be someone you look up to, surely.
Oh, 100%. It's it is a half and half, with the fact of, like, I really do look up to him and he is an inspiration, and it just is unfortunate that I happen to look a little bit like him if I try with, like, shaving the hair and growing a beard out. I never really used to shave my hair. It used to be long, but then with this whole wrestling, doing the whole McGregor gimmick, I shaved it off and then found out I looked more like him. But yeah, looking up to McGregor, especially when it was MMA, it was more when it was MMA, I was more looking up to his physical attributes and what he does in the ring or in the cage, the way he moves and that. But now it's in the wrestling. It's now looking up to the way he talks and the confidence and his swagger, if you will, of like how he just any building he walks into, he acts and looks like he owns it. So it's cutting him in half with different sports. Just like look up to him in so many different ways now.
I think any sport can kind of look at him now, because it's not only, like you said, he's got the fighting and he's got the ability, but the reason why he's so popular and why is the fact that it's his mindset as well. He's ambitious, he's self-driven. Everything he says he wants to do, he'll do. And it's the best thing about him is the fact that he can mess with his opponent's head. Like he beats people before he even steps in any sort of ring with that kind of psychological. Yeah, so it's good, man. But it works for you. I mean, you do. You're a spitting image of him. And did you get the tattoos before or after you were going ahead with a gimmick? Because the tattoos definitely help, don't they? Yeah.
No, I've always wanted tattoos and had the sleeve before I started wrestling. The chest. I've always wanted 2 sleeves: chest, stomach, and back done. The chest and my stomach piece is now new within the wrestling. But yes, obviously some people see the line on my stomach and go, "Oh, Conor McGregor, you just want to be Conor McGregor," even though he's got a tiger. It's ridiculous. Like, even though he's got a tiger. But it used to be pretty cool knowing that you looked like someone, but now it is so annoying.
I can imagine, man. I can imagine that you get. I can imagine you're on a night out and people just starting shit with you just because you look like him or something like that. I don't know.
I've got a funny story. Recently, I went on a date to... Do you know the steakhouse Middleton's in Colchester?
I don't know. No, but it sounds like somewhere I'd want to eat.
Yeah, steakhouse, loads of meat. Really recommend it, anyone who lives in that local area. Yeah, so I was there on a date, and not once, but 2 times, 2 different people, members of staff, while I was eating my dinner, come up to me and said, "Excuse me, sorry to bother you, but has anyone ever told you look like Conor McGregor?" Because I just recently had my hair shaved number 2, over, so from behind, I guess I kind of did look like him. But so 2 different guys come up and then they were saying about how they were talking to each other back in the staff rooms about how I looked like him. So that was weird enough as it was. Like, imagine having 2 members of staff while they're working stop working and interrupt you. But that was funny. So not only that, I then, as I was leaving, one of the members go, "Can you do the walk? Do you do McGregor's walk?" And I went, "Yeah, of course, obviously." And he goes, "Would you do it? You want me to do the walk while leaving the building?" He's like, "Yeah, go on." I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, why not? Go on in." I was just about to do it, and he goes, "Wait a minute." And he, it's a good sized restaurant. He shouts, this member of staff shouts to this other guy who's across the building. We'll use Dave as his name. He goes, "Dave, he's going to do the McGregor walk. Look," while they're working, serving customers. So now not only do I have these 2 members of staff watching me, I have the entire bottom floor restaurant watching me as I do this McGregor walk out of the building. I mean, that's taking it to some other level. You get the photos of nightclubs and that, when you got drunk people going, "Can we have a photo?" Yeah, that was a new experience.
Well, that's it now. Well, that's your walk into the ring gimmick sorted.
That literally is now. Yeah, now literally, because now I've turned heel now. So now just to get the easy heat of, "Oh, you want to be Conor McGregor," or just he's a over the top confident prick. I'll just do that walk in and out the ring.
Exactly, I like it.
And just easy heat.
So did the date go well? Did she like it?
Yeah, she laughed. She explained this is. Because I said to her, this happens now and again and that, and
you've got to get used to this now.
Yeah. And then we was walking out the building. She was like, "You weren't actually chatting shit, was you? That generally does happen." And I was like, "Yeah, it really does happen." But yeah, no, she laughed. She enjoyed it. It was good fun. It wasn't like she was annoyed about it or anything. She had a laugh with it, which is a bonus.
Yeah, good stuff. Good, man. So I mean, I know about SOS, all right. I've been shouting it from the rooftops. I try to do it every episode whenever I get a chance to get you guys on here. But I want you to sell SOS. Why is it that SOS why is SOS the place to learn the art of wrestling?
Number one, biggest reason why is Paul Tyrrell is the coach, a UK motherfucking legend. That is the first reason, and could be the only reason if you wanted it to come down. Two, full of great talent that you can work off and learn from. And not only are they just great talent, they're not great talent who have got an ego. Everyone sees themselves as the same level. We're all there for the same reason. So you could literally talk to anyone at different levels of different stages of their career, and they'd all help you out. They'd all talk to you and give you advice on what you could do, what you can't do, or like things along them lines. Like that, everyone's friendly. Everyone wants to give you advice. We're all helping each other out. SOS. It's just good. Very good value for money. Fridays from around 3 p.m. till 9:30, as long as anyone wants to stay there. We've been there till 11:30, so we'll go from 10, 3 till 10, £5 on a Sunday.
Wow.
With Paul Tyrrell is again, I believe 3 o'clock till 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's £10 for that amount of hours. For £10, like £15 a weekend is stupidly cheap for the level of quality.
Definitely.
Yeah. So like you say, there's a lot of talent there, and some of us have been there, not calling myself talented, but the other talent there have been there for a short amount of time, like Nick Payne, Aaron Warnes, just two off the top of my head. Obviously you've got Harry Mann and Cobray, Hooch, Dexter, Mike Check, the more experienced guys. But it's very, very easy to progress and evolve and adapt. It's ridiculous. I was an MMA guy and kind of wrestling. 2 years ago, I never ever thought I'd be doing wrestling. I had no intentions of doing it. But I tell you what is the best thing I have ever done. I'd choose wrestling over MMA any day of my life. So if anyone out there who's wanting to try a new hobby or just get out there and meet new people, have something to do, like you don't have to come to SOS and have that ambition to be a pro wrestler and want to make it. Even if you want to do it as a hobby for fun, just come down. Everyone will treat you as family, show you respect, all have a good laugh, and all in good nature. So seriously, get your ass down to SOS, because I tell you what, it's the biggest. I'll say this with full confidence. SOS is the biggest rising training school in the UK. Like, no doubt.
I'm not going to disagree with you either. I'm not going to disagree with you. It's got everything. It's got everything. It's got a roster. It's got a trainer. It's got Mark as well, who gives the opportunities. The social media alone. Social media alone is insane. The amount of work that goes into that, which I think is undervalued.
Yeah, and just the quality of the venue that we have is great. Always clean, cold at times. Yeah, whereas clean, a fucking quality high level ring, good venue. Like, it's ridiculous how good it is for the little value of money. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I'm just hoping it gets that big that it opens up another school a little bit closer to where I live. Yeah, and I'll be there all the time.
So. Yeah, one day we'll open a few branches.
No, definitely looking forward to it. And I was there yesterday at the training. No one wants to see anybody foul. It's such a kind of brotherhood. Everyone's trying to help each other, trying to better each other, and it's just a locker room of just all sorts of talent. It's kind of, you look to your left and right, and it's just all different sorts of talent, and it is and it's no spotlight.
No,
it's no spotlight. All that spotlight grief.
We're going there, are we? We're going there.
Well, it's not a spotlight. We'll leave it there. It's not spotlight.
It's not.
I've got to bring it up. So I mean, a lot of people I've spoken to who have done wrestling have, and some wrestlers who are actually on main shows, WWE and stuff. They have talked about kind of if MMA was out before wrestling, they may have tried MMA, and a lot of wrestlers have thought about trying MMA. What would you say from a wrestler, if they were to go to try MMA, switch it the other way around? What could they expect going, from not really hitting a guy to then you've got to go in there and actually hold your own?
It depends. I think it depends what sort of level and how long you've been doing wrestling for, because obviously the higher up because I went and watched Progress a few weeks back, and the level that they hit each other with the forearms and your chops and that, they hit each other hard compared to some of the like training schools. So like if depending on how long you've been doing the wrestling, but the main ones I'd say is obviously the physical conditioning, depending on your weight class, fitness basically. Let's go with fitness. The fitness would be a big improvement. Like it'd be probably a lot more because it's obviously always circuit training and you're skipping and you're running and doing your pad work and that. Fitness would be one, and then obviously having that learning how to throw kicks and punches and then the combinations, because normally it's either a forearm for a forearm or a couple and then a move, having to throw a few combos and then get straight back out and not let your opponent actually grab you. Chaining I think might be a obviously again depending on how long you've been doing it. If you get really well at chaining, and obviously part of chaining is like you go back and forth trying to outsmart the other person, so you let them in the wrestling, you let them take your wrist and you go from there. Whereas if you're actually grappling on the ground, you really don't want them to grab a part of your body. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's good, man. It's good
stuff like that. Just little things like that. But apart from that, you can, as long as you like enjoy doing sport, with the length of time that you do it with any sport, you can smash it and get involved. So yeah, as long as you stick to it and give it your all, you'll do good in whatever sport, no matter where you transition from.
Well, there you go. There is the advice if you're thinking of switching to MMA. But there it is. So now, Corey McRae, now it's fan time. Quick fire questions to get your answers as a wrestling fan. Now, this is going to be a hard one for you. Mm-hmm. You're relatively new as a new fan, not being as in touch. So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna change things a little bit. But what is your favourite thing about the whole world of wrestling, being involved in that?
Like I say, it's either two things. I'd have to say two. The emotion that you get the crowd involved with, the emotion that the crowd give you, and the noise that they create if you get them to make the noise, emotion/noise, and the friendships that you can build is unbelievable, because you have to trust each other when you're doing certain moves. Even something simple like a suplex, you have to trust that they can lift and carry you over your head and keep your head tucked. So the trust and the friendship that you build at your training camps is one of the best things there, I think. So yeah, the emotion and trust I'd go with.
Okay, nice. What is your favourite move to perform, which is kind of like MMA, that gets that kind of that reaction, reaction from a crowd?
I love an international spot. Spot. That or a suplex, yeah. Delayed suplex.
Okay, nice. Oh, and I saw you do that with a squat.
Squat, yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw that, nice. What is one move MMA that you would do in wrestling, but if you tweaked it a little bit, it could really fucking hurt someone? I'm talking really hurt someone.
My finisher, Kofi Kingston's Trouble in Paradise, I actually brought that from MMA. Basically, I rotate my body to the right, do a complete 360, and using that momentum of your leg to then swing your leg out as you're coming back round, to use your foot to, or in MMA would be a shin, but in wrestling with your foot, basically creating a spinning bat as it comes round. So if you hit that wrong, it's night for the person that's taken it.
Yeah, that would be nasty. Nasty little kick to the head. I think I tried to perform that once, but it ended up looking like a donkey falling down a hill. So.
Next time I see you, we'll have a look and I'll try and show you how to do it. Get you involved.
And it'll go fucking terribly.
Nah, we'll be alright.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Who is one MMA fighter who you think would be a great wrestler in the WWE?
Ronda Rousey, straight away.
Yeah,
Ronda Rousey. Yeah, I believe she'll be. I think she'll be in the women's rumble as well, which would be nice. But yeah, Ronda with because she's black belt in judo, and her mum was a first woman judo champion, I believe, something like that. So she'll be able to put the throws in and the grappling. She'd do very well in that, I believe.
Yeah, and I think Conor as well, just with his personality.
Conor
the tickets he would sell. The tickets that guy can sell, he could hold a pen and he could sell me that pen in about 2 minutes. Okay, give me. Go on,
go
buddy.
Go on.
Sorry.
That's right. Sorry.
Give people one MMA match that people should watch if they're new to the sport.
Oh, easy. Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 2. First one, Conor lost, so we'll forget about that one. No one needs to know about the first one. But yeah, number 2, 5 rounds of pure when you hear the term leaving everything you have in the ring, that match is the definition of that saying. They could not have given any more in them 5 rounds. So I really, really recommend Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 2. You can find it on YouTube.
There you go, listeners. Go watch that if you fancy getting to know the sport. So, Corey, what are your goals for 2018? You've already been storming it, and you've only been doing it for 9 months. So, what's your main goals that you want to achieve for 2018?
Main goals, some people will laugh at these, some people will be ridiculous. To be the SOS champion twice. Would love to wrestle on the Wrestling League, make my debut on that, wrestle a few times on there. The biggest one I have is trying to do with the McGregor gimmick would make sense to be a champ, have 2 belts at the same time.
Nice, I like that.
Some people see that as impossible, but I like to challenge myself, and we'll see where that goes. Wrestle Matt Riddle, who is again another guy who come over from MMA, obviously at a much higher level quality than me, absolutely dominated MMA, but yeah, wrestle him. I think we could have a quality match. And then for some reason, I don't know why, and obviously before I started wrestling I had no idea who he was, but now I really want to wrestle Chris Ridgway. I don't know why. Chris Ridgway.
It's because he's got that look. He's got a good look, Ridgway.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
apparently he kicks hard, but I've seen him and I don't think they're that good, so I'll have to show him how to actually kick.
Now you're calling him out. Now you're calling him out right on the podcast. Go. I like it. Good, man.
If that match happens, this is the plug. This is where it started.
And I will take all ticket sales.
As long as you give me half. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. No, great. Good. It sounds like you're driven, man. It sounds like you got goals, and that's good. You fucking go for it. And I don't doubt them at all. So you carry on ploughing and do what you're doing. Any parting words for people? Any shout outs?
Shout outs. Mark Young, Paul Tyrrell. What you're doing with SOS and Wrestling League is fucking incredible. So fair plays to you. Harry Mant for getting me involved with. Started wanting me to do it, and then Nick Payne, Ian Payne behind the scenes, Ian Payne, who actually made me come to a wrestling training class, which got me physically involved. So yeah, them guys, and then everyone else at SOS, all great people, and I enjoy spending my time with you all. So yeah, that'll do, I think.
Oh,
and then yourself, of course, Mr. Success, best podcast, best wrestling podcast.
Thank you very much, man. Nice little plug.
Yeah, boy.
So, well, now all you got to do now is you got to get the Irish accent down, and that's you done. That is you fully Conor McGregor.
I've tried that. A couple of sayings, if I hear him a few times from his mouth, I can copy, but fully in a full accent, I don't have a hope in hell, bruv.
Well, that's good, man. That's good. Well, thank you, Corey. Thank you for taking the time for speaking with
us. It's been a pleasure, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Sharing your wrestling knowledge, your MMA knowledge, your advice, and your story as well, man. And you've got a bright future, and I look forward to catching up. Me and the listeners will catch up with you a year or so from now, and you'll be flying. So, no, looking forward to it, man.
Quality, mate. We'll have to do this again. I really enjoyed this. This was actually great fun. I'd love to do this again.
Good, man. No problem at all. Thank you very much, man.
So when I've got both belts, we can talk again, yeah?
Yeah. That's it. What was the other guy? Nick Aldis? No, is it Nick? No, why am I saying Nick Aldis? Aldo. No, it wasn't Aldo. No, I'm not going to be Aldo because you'll knock me out in 30 seconds.
Chris Ridgway?
No. Who's the other guy? You said the MMA match.
Oh, Matt Riddle.
No, the guy, the best MMA. Nate Diaz,
Diaz.
Nate Diaz will have 2 matches. I'll beat you in the first one, and you can get the glory in the second one.
Yeah, boy. Good. Let's go.
Right, let's go. Oh, good, man. All right, so guys and girls, that is it from me this week. Thank you for following my journey, listening to this episode, and I look forward to wrestling a match with Corey and with you all soon. I'll speak to you all next week.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for following my journey. It means a lot that you're all joining me along for the ride. And not only that, I'm hoping you're getting some inspiration out of this. This is what I'm doing it for, is to try to inspire people. I try to get more people into wrestling, try to get exposure for all these guests, all these great guests and future guests. And if you guys want to help, it would be much appreciated if you could go over to iTunes and leave this podcast a review, Wrestling with Success. And I want you to be as honest as possible. If you hate the show, if you hate my voice, if you want me to speak a little bit higher, if you want me to speak a little bit lower, then please let me know on the feedback. Any sort of review. That's all I'm asking for, guys. It helps get the names out there for all the previous guests and the ones to come. Thank you again for listening. It means a lot. Much love.